We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnedhi Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštubhagam Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdhadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad and we are covering a very important area, which is the dream state. Mandukya Upanishad directly tells us how I can see myself as a free jiva, mukta purushaha. Normally, we think that we are the body. That notion of I am the body, I am the mind is called as baddhaha, bondage. I am sakshi, I am turiyam brahma. That notion is called as muktaha. So there are two aspects to our life. If we don't come to Vedanta to learn from the Shastra, throughout our life, we will be thinking that we are the body. We are born on some day and we will not be here someday. This philosophy of life is called as samsara. When I learn Upanishads, the Upanishads have got a methodology to teach me my real self. My real self is an unborn self. Very difficult to swallow for newcomers. But if you keep studying Vedanta for a few years, this notion that I am the sakshi, I am the consciousness principle, this notion will come into your subconscious mind. How does it come? By repeated listening, repeated shravanam. That is the only method available to us to know who we are. And the study of Mandukya Upanishad is extremely important for any seeker, because this has a direct method of teaching that I am of the nature of consciousness. Consciousness is eternal, immortal, fearless. These are the characteristics of this consciousness. It is Satyam. It is Chit Swarupa. It is Ananda Swarupa. It is Akarta. It is Abhokta. These are the features which the Upanishad teaches me through the different verses of Mandukya. Mandukya Upanishad is only 12 verses. We are in the fourth verse. The first two verses were introduction about Omkara, about the Atma Vichara. There are two vicharas, two inquiries we have to do in Mandukya Upanishad. One is called as Omkara Vichara, and the second is Atma Vichara. Then in the third mantra, we discussed what is this waking state. In Mandukya Upanishad, we are studying Avastha Traya Sakshi. We are studying, analyzing very deeply the three states of our experiences. We have studied waking state in the third mantra. We are started the fourth mantra, the svapna avastha, the dream state. Today we will complete the svapna avastha, and then we will move on to the fifth mantra, which is the suṣupti avastha, which is the sleep state. Philosophy is very important for us because this is the backdrop in which we conduct our whole life. Our life we cannot change because it is programmed. There is a program called as law of karma which runs our life. But that is not the end of it. There is something called as shastric teaching, which helps me to understand beyond this law of karma, there is a principle called as chaitanyam, consciousness, turiyam. These are all the names of one entity. Our goal in Mandukya Upanishad is to understand this turiyam as the ultimate truth in this universe. That is goal number one. Goal number two is to drop our identification as a waker, dreamer, sleeper, ahamkara. All the three put together is called as ahamkara. The I notion which is there in this body. I have to learn to drop this I notion as a waker, dreamer, sleeper. That is the second goal. The first goal is to learn to say, I am consciousness, turiyam principle. You must understand the goal. Then only you will know how we are learning and what we are learning. So in the teaching, first we have to discard I am a waker. That has been done in the third mantra. Now we are looking at the fourth mantra, I am a dreamer. This also we have to discard. How do we discard this is explained in the fifth and the sixth mantra. The methodology. It's a very, very scientific analysis. You have to understand the logic of the Shastra, then you will be able to accept the teaching. Now let me go to where we stopped last week in the fourth mantra. In this mantra, the fourth mantra, we are learning about svapna avastha. The entire Upanishad is an analysis of how we experience the world. In the waking state, in the dream state, in the sleep state, there is a process of knowledge taking place in us. That knowledge is being described in this slide. Dakshinamurti Stotram, the fourth verse, explains this logic of how knowledge takes place in our mind. Nanachit ghatodharastitamaha deepak prabhabhaswaram jnanam yastu chakshuradhikarana dwara vahi spandate. You imagine a lamp inside a pot made up of 5 holes. In India, we hang this pot during Diwali time outside our house. And then what happens? There are 5 beams which come out of those holes. The lamp represents consciousness in this body. The pot represents the body, the physical body. The 5 holes, they represent the 5 indriyas through which the consciousness light beams out into the world through the 5 sense organs. Then that light of consciousness goes out through the eyes. You have the knowledge of form and color. When that spiritual light goes through the ears, you hear sound. When that light, spiritual light, goes through the skin and you touch your skin, you can feel the skin. It is soft or hard. When that spiritual light goes through the tongue, you can taste navarasas. When the same spiritual light goes through our nostrils, we can smell various fragrances of flowers. So there is one spiritual light which is inside us. That is the explanation of this 4th verse of Dakshinamurti Stotram. I have covered Dakshinamurti Stotram and there are videos available in my class folders. Now, there are 2 processes which happen whenever there is the light of consciousness goes through the mind and into the world of objects through the sense organs. Those 2 processes are called as vritti vyapti, phala vyapti. This is a technical understanding of how consciousness goes out through the body to experience the world. Vritti vyapti means that reflected consciousness in the mind through the sense organs goes out to the sense objects and envelops the object. The first process. From the mind till it reaches the object, it is called as vritti vyapti. This mind with the vritti also has a second element which is called as chidabhasa. That means a reflection of consciousness. So in the second process, there is which is called as phala vyapti. Vyapti means pervasion. So when this vritti reaches a sense object, it not only reaches, but it reveals to me that object. When the chidabhasa envelops the object, it is called as phala vyapti. When the thought, which is inert, which envelops the object, it is called as vritti vyapti. I will be talking about this in all the Upanishadic talks because this is fundamental to Vedanta. You keep on listening. One day you will say, this I accept. Because this takes a lot of mananam. You have to contemplate on this process so that it becomes a part and parcel of your own antakarana. Till this consciousness reveals the object, there is ignorance of the object. So the pot may be there, but if I am sleeping, that pot is not revealed to me because the mind is sleeping. Consciousness never sleeps. The reflection consciousness in the mind, it is always there. But what sleeps? That mind which with the vrittis, formation of the vrittis, that sleeps. So this is the understanding of how knowledge takes place in the antakarana. Now a pot becomes bright outside because it is recognized by the jiva, but the recognition is in the mind. You must understand this. Whenever I'm listening, the listening is happening in the mind. When I'm seeing, it is happening in the mind, which is internal, which is called as antakarana. So even though my eyes are seeing it, the object which is outside, actually the light of the object reaches our mind through the sense organs, and then we are able to see that object in our mind. If you have understood this, it's a very big achievement because this will help you in further understanding Vedanta. Now, there are things which are lying behind me. Suppose there is an elephant or a car behind me. I don't know that because the sense organs, the eyes are only able to, if I turn my eyes behind, I will be able to see. But if I don't turn behind, the chidabhasa, even though it is pervading behind, because the mind and the sense organ is not in contact with the sense object, that object becomes unknown. Even in darkness, suppose it is bright sunlight and suddenly you're sitting in the same chair outside your house and it becomes dark. It becomes night. Even though you're sitting in the same chair watching outside your house, suddenly you will not be able to see the objects because there is lack of light. So with the pervasion of chidabhasa, the objects become manifest. What is the meaning of manifest? It means known. I know the sun rising. I know the sun setting. This is what is called as experience. So vritti vyapti and phala vyapti together they make the objects and the universe known to me. This is very easy to understand in the waking state. What happens in the dream state? Now, in the dream state, the sense organs are shut. There are no vrittis coming from external objects. All the objects which rise in the dream state, they are all mental objects. And there is already a chidabhasa in the mind. Therefore, it will illumine those objects which are inside the mind. Even during daydreaming, objects, if you recall, like in a dream, you sit down, you close your eyes, you think about your childhood days. Those are all memories. So in the case of memory, what happens? Do you have both the processes of vritti vyapti and phala vyapti? The author says there is only vritti vyapti because There is no phala vyapti inside our antakara. Chidabhasa envelops the objects in the mind, vasanas, it reveals it. So mental objects are self-shining, prakasha rupaha. Dream objects are tejomaya rupasya vishayaha. Tejomayaha, it is bright. See, you can imagine how your last night's dream was. In the dream world, when you are dreaming, it is very bright. You're seeing as if you're waking. But actually speaking, there is no objects outside. There is no sunlight which is illumining your dream. It is your own chidabhasa, the reflection of consciousness in the mind, which is revealing the objects, the vasanas which are getting generated. Because there's no place for a dream tiger inside you. All dream objects are sukshma and they are bright. Tejo mayaha. So, what is the difference between waking and the waking object and the dream object? Waking object is made up of panchabhutas. They are outside. Dream objects are projections of thoughts in our mind. There is a difference. Therefore, they are called as two realms of experiences. Waking is one realm, dream is another realm, and sleep is a third realm of experience. Because there are differences in our experiences. There are no external objects in the dream. It is not a sthula prajna. It is not a sthula book. In the third mantra, when the Upanishad explained to us the waking state, there was a word which was used. It is called as sthula book. Sthula book means it is a gross object being experienced by the reflected consciousness in the mind. In the case of dream, it is sukshma book. It is, there are no external vishayas. It is only a subtle experience, only a vasana which is experienced, memory-like experience. In the waking state, those thoughts, when they come, we call it memory. In the dream state, we call them as vasanas. That is the terminology which is used. So a dreamer is a bhokta. Bhunkte iti bhokta. So what is the exact dream experience? How is it defined? That is what is said in the fourth mantra. The Anvaya explanation of that is the second quarter, the first quarter was the waking state. The second quarter, quarter means what? Initially in the mantra, in the second mantra, it was said that the Atma consists of four quarters. The first quarter is the waking, second quarter is the dream, which is what is this mantra. Third quarter is the sleep, and the last quarter is the turiyam. So here the second quarter is called as taijasa, whose field is the entire dream state. See, the consciousness itself is called as the dreamer. The turiyam consciousness, which is always alone. Then it expresses through the medium of the mind and the vasanas, it is called as taijasa. When it is expressed through the physical body, in the third mantra, what did we say? It is called as Vishwa. So Vishwa means physical body consciousness. Taijasa means subtle body consciousness. And this consciousness is not external looking, it is inward looking. The waking state is bahish prajna, external knowledge. Dream state is anta prajna. That means it is inward knowledge. Here also, like in the waking state, there are 7 limbs of the Ishvara and 19 gateways for the Jiva. There is a subtle body, there is a subtle mind, and there are subtle sense organs like you have for the waking Jiva. Similarly, the prapancha, the world also, which is there in the dream, is got the 7 limbs, which we have seen in the third. So the fourth mantra is over with this slide. Now we are entering into the fifth mantra, which is the third pada. What are the 4 padas? Waking is one pada, dream is second pada. The third pada is called as suṣupti pada. The suṣupti pada, the third pada, is described in 2 verses. Verse number 5 and verse number 6. These 2 mantras are very, very, very important to understand the 7th mantra. The 7th mantra is the ultimate mantra which I should own as my swarupa. But if you don't understand the 5th and the 6th, you will have difficulty in understanding the 7th. So please pay attention to the 5th mantra and the 6th mantra. Revise the 5th mantra and the 6th mantra in your own free time. You can study the notes. The notes are very simple. They are to the point, and you will be able to understand the notes because you have already studied the four mantras. So 5th, 6th, and 7th, 3 mantras are there. The notes are all available with you. You can study them, revise them on your own. Try to contemplate on these verses and then make it your own knowledge. Then only you will have the benefit of studying Mandukya Upanishad. There should be a transformation in your mind of how you see yourself and how you see the world and what is your vision of Ishvara, the creator of this whole cosmos. These 3 things will be very clear in these 3 mantras, 5, 6, 7. Here Shankaracharya introduces the 5th mantra. See, he gives a very long explanation of the 5th and the 6th mantra. So I will be going through the Shankaracharya's commentary. I will be slow because they are quite abstract. And there are ideas which will be given in this commentary, which will be a totally new vision about your experiences. Be ready. In the dream and deep sleep states, there is non-recognition of the truth. What is the meaning of this? I don't know that I am ever free turiyam. I don't know my real nature without the body. That is the fundamental thing which is common to both all the 3 avasthas. Here he says dream and deep sleep. In both this and also in waking, there is uh, there is an ignorance about my real nature. Now, what happens in the sleep state? That is what is being described first. Number one, there is ignorance that I am the waker. There is an ignorance that I am Turiyam. Turiyam means I am without the body and without the world. Keep this definition of Turiyam in your mind all the time. What is the definition of Turiyam? I exist without the body, mind, and the world. Okay? Keep this definition always at the back of your mind, because with that only you will have to understand all the three states. So there is an ignorance about the waker, there is an ignorance in the sleep state about the Turiyam also. What is the second feature of sleep? In the sleep state, I have no desires. All of us, whenever you are sleeping, can you can you just think, do I have a desire in sleep? No. You have desires in waking, hundreds of desires. You have desires in dream. Then in sleep state, there is no desire. Why? Because the mind is sleeping. See, that inference you should be able to draw. So if it is said that sleeping to the reality of oneself, that kind of sleep, what does it mean? There is self-ignorance, which is common to the three states. And when you talk about specifically the sleep state, I have the ignorance of being a waker in the sleep state. I have the ignorance of being a dreamer in the sleep state. Are you able to get this point? Because this is what Shankaracharya is trying to explain in this comment, in this paragraph of his commentary. I will explain to you as we go ahead, but try to pick up the essence, because these are all very, very detailed study of the sleep state. Normally, you will only say, I went to sleep when I got up. That's all. But here, we are analyzing what happens in the sleep state. Darshana adarshana vrittayo. There are two commentators of the Bhashyam. One is called as Anandagiri, another is called as Sachidanendra Saraswati. Sachidanendra Saraswati gives an easier interpretation. We will see both the definitions, but here first one is Darshana Vritti or Adarshana Vritti. Dream state, you have Darshana of dream. That means there is Darshanam, means you are able to experience the Vrittis in the dream. In the sleep state, what happens? Sachidanendra Saraswati says, in the sleep state also, there is a suṣupti avastha vritti. See, normally we say there is no mind and there's nothing, and people have gone to sleep. A passive mind is sleep state. But here, Sachidanendra Saraswati says there is a vritti also which is there in the sleep state. It is more subtler than the dream state vritti. What is that vritti saying? I don't experience anything. That is a vritti. Now, who is illumining that vritti? Sakshi or Turiyam. That illuminator is your real state. See, Vedanta is not easy if you don't go step by step to understand that consciousness or Turiyam. These are the methods. So, conventional sleep, I am waker knowledge is the tattva. Apratibodha means what? I don't know I am a waker. So, Bodha means knowledge. In the waking state, what is our knowledge? I am a waker. But in the sleep state, what is the knowledge? I don't know I am the waker. So that fact is not known to me. That is what is called as ignorance. Ignorance of the surrounding is common to both dreamer and the sleeper. Neither the dreamer knows the surrounding that you're sleeping in a comfortable bed, in an air-conditioned room. The sleeper doesn't know, the dreamer doesn't. But the waker knows when he tries to go to sleep. Try to understand. There is a ignorance. You see, this topic of ignorance is extremely important for your intellect to understand. Because in the next mantra, when the mantra comes, they will say that this ignorance is the cause of the waking and the dream. So try to understand this ignorance of the waker in sleep. Try to contemplate on it. So the sleep is ignorance of surrounding to the body. Suṣupti grahanatvam means what is the experience of a sleeper? How can I differentiate with the experience of the dreamer? So Upanishad wants to give this differentiation between dream and sleep. That is what is mentioned in mantra number 5. See how Shankaracharya beautifully, for every mantra in the Mandukya Upanishad, Shankaracharya writes the introduction. Sometimes most of the times his introductions are brilliant. While going through the introduction itself, you can learn so many new things. Okay. Now, let us try to see what is this fifth mantra. The fifth mantra.
Yatra suptaha, yatra suptaha, na kanchana kamam kamayate, na kanchana kamam kamayate, na kanchana svapnam pashyati, na kanchana svapnam pashyati, tat suṣuptam, tat suṣuptam, suṣuptasthana ekibhutah, suṣuptasthana ekibhutah, prajnanaghana evanandamayah, prajnanaghana evanandamayah, yanandabhuk चेतोमुखः, ज्ञानन्दभुक् चेतोमुखः, प्राज्ञस्तृतीयः पादः, प्राज्ञस्तृतीयः पादः, यत्र
So in the fifth mantra describes the state of deep sleep. Where, what is the definition of deep sleep? Deep sleep is a state in which there are no desires and in which there is no dream. Can you understand the definition? Very, very precise definition. See, from waking, what happens? You just lie in your bed and sleep. From the sleep state, you get into a dream state. Till you get the dream, it is called as deep sleep state. In that deep sleep state, what happens? There is no desire in the mind. This deep sleep state is called as prajna. Try to understand the word prajna. What are the other two words we have used? Vishwa. Second word, taijasa. Third word, prajna. What are the three things? What does it mean? Waker is called as Vishwa. Dreamer is called as Taijasa. Prajna means sleeper. In the sleep state, what actually happens inside our mind? That is what is now being described. All experience which we had in the waking, they all become homogeneous mass of consciousness, which is full of bliss. We don't know this, but Upanishad says that is what is called as bliss. That is the gateway for the projection of waking and dream. This aspect is very unique teaching of Mandukya Upanishad. Only in Mandukya Upanishad, when you come and study Mandukya, you will realize that the sleep state is our starting phase. Normally, we think waking is our starting phase. From waking only, we should understand that sleep and dream. But the Mandukya Upanishad says you don't start from waking because sleep is the karanam. It is the causal state. You start from there. Then you will understand Mandukya Upanishad very clear. So the point of reference which we have should be the sleep state, should be the beginning state. Because the Upanishad clearly says waking and dream is karyam, means it is a product. If you want to understand your real nature, you must understand this subject very clearly. This is fundamental. It is very easy to say, I want to know who am I. But when a guru teaches you, you have to follow the way the guru is teaching you with the help of the scriptures. The guru only uses the scriptures to reveal to you what the scriptures tell you about yourself. So please understand this mantra, very important. Let it sink into your mind. Again and again, you say, I will start from the deep sleep state and then try to analyze what is this waking and what is this dream. In the deep sleep state, I am a mass of undifferentiated consciousness, which is called as Advaitam. There is no duality in sleep. Everything has become one, ekam. What happens in waking and dream? That one consciousness operates through the mind in the waking and splits into two, the subject and object. Subject is the body, object is the universe. Similarly, in dream also, Dvaitam is created by the mind which becomes active. Why the mind becomes active in the waking and dream? That is as per the law of karma. See how things are all correlated. You must understand the sleep state in this fashion. Okay, so this is just the explanation of what this fifth mantra is. First quarter defines the sleeper. The first quarter means first quarter of this mantra defines who is a sleeper. In the case here, the waker and the dreamer is not defined. Here we are talking about the sleeper. Jagrat avastha, Jagrat sthanaha, there is a waker. Suṣupti avastha, Suṣupti sthanaha. Sthanaha means the place, the field of experience. It is called as yatra suptaha. The sleeper does not desire objects or experience the dream state or the waking state. So, what is the conventional meaning of the sleeper? The conventional meaning is he is not a waker, he is not a dreamer, he is a sleeper. Now, the sleep state, if there is no dream, it is called as the sleep avastha, deep sleep state. The same sleep state, in the sleep state, because sleep state is what? Ignorance of the waker. In the sleep state, if you have a dream, that is a second experience in your sleep state. Chandogya Upanishad in chapter 6, it says, Yatra na kanchana kamam yate na kanchana swapna pashyate. Same thing. You don't desire, you don't dream. That is what is called as sleep state. When the Upanishad says you don't desire, that means what? The sleep, that means you are negating the waker state. In the sleep state, you are negating the waker. And then when you say that there is no dream, means what? You are negating the dream state in the sleep state. So in the sleep state, there is no waking or dream, there is no desire, and there is also ignorance of the waker and your ignorance about your higher self, which is Turiya. So many things are connected with the sleep state. So in the second interpretation, the sleep is defined as self-ignorance. In the first interpretation, it is, I am not the waker. That's all. So with reference to the waker, the sleep is defined. Now with reference to the self-ignorance, which is there in all the three states, self-ignorance with what? I am consciousness. Kathopanishad says, Anadi Mayaya Suptaha Yada Jiva Prapudyate. The Jiva is sleeping to his nature. That means he doesn't know his nature for many, many lives. You and I, we have had several lives, but we have not had the opportunity to study the Mandukya Upanishad in any of our previous lives. We are studying it here. Now, in this life, we are trying to understand what is this sleep state and how I can get rid of this Mula Avidya. Mula Avidya means it is the root cause of the birth of the body. So sleeper is equal to waker plus the dreamer plus a sleeper ajnani. Now, first interpretation is you are not the waker or the dream. The second interpretation is you are ignorant about your higher nature. You are ignorant about your wakerhood also. Now, this is a slide, is a revision portion. So I have done whatever I have covered. I will drop it. Whatever I'm not covered, I will explain to you. Now, Shankaracharya gives two explanations for this sleep. One, conventional sleep, which is where there is no dream and there is no desire, which is what we have seen. He also gives another interpretation where there is self-ignorance about our highest self, which is of Turiyam, which is objectless awareness, which is my real nature. Darshana Adarshana Vritti explains the conventional definition. Actually speaking, if you try to understand, it's very simple. In the sleep state, I have no desires and I have no dream in the sleep state. That is what is called as the sleep state. Also, I don't know that I am pure consciousness. Pure consciousness means I exist without the body, mind, and the world. Sushupti grahanartham. To exclude the dreamer and the dreamless sleeper, Upanishad uses two adjectives which is called as Visheshanam. The adjectives are Kanchana, Kama, Kamayati. These are the actual words in the mantra number 5. Nasopran Pashyati. These are the two words, adjectives which are used to describe sleep. The philosophical meaning of sleep is spiritual ignorance. Spiritual ignorance means I don't know I am Turiyam, I am pure consciousness. Kathopanishad has this mantra in the first chapter, and Swami Vivekananda uses this verse very often in his speech. Uttishtata jagrata prapyavaran nibodata shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. This is a very often quoted mantra of Shankaracharya. Even in Mandukya Upanishad, he will quote this mantra several times. All the gurus, when we go to the guru, he will tell us that you have been sleeping. According to the Upanishad, we all are sleeping to our real nature. We don't know we are immortal. We don't know we are fearless. We don't know that we are not this body. That is what is called as ignorance, spiritual ignorance. Uttishtatha means awake, arise, awake. Come on, get up from that spiritual slumber. Know that you are the Atman. How is this path of realizing the Atman? It is very, very sharp like a razor's edge. If you're walking on a razor, it's so sharp. It is like that when you walk on the path of Atma. That means to understand that Turiya Avastha, which is going to be described in the seventh mantra, you have to go through this suṣupti Avastha, understand that Avastha very clearly, and realize that that is the Avastha in which you are having self-ignorance. I don't know that pure consciousness. Uddharet atmanam, natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva atmana bandhuhu, atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, the 5th verse. It is a copy of Kathopanishad mantra. There are many mantras in Bhagavad Gita which are directly taken out from Kathopanishad. Chapter 15, the first verse. Urdhva Mula Mada Shakam. It is also from Kathopanishad. This 6th chapter. Let a man rise himself from his lower nature, which is waker, dreamer, sleeper. How will you and I rise? By saying to ourselves, I am not this waker body, sleeper, dreamer. I am the consciousness principle, which is illumining these three avasthas to me. So, ignorant jiva, ajnani jiva, is called as waker, dreamer, and sleeper. When he experiences the physical body, he is called as the waker. Who is the waker? he is the actual jiva who doesn't know himself, that he is consciousness. He is called as a dreamer when he is experiencing the vasanas in the dream. He is called a sleeper when there is no vasana or there is no waker. Because the mind is got a vritti that I don't experience anything. That vritti is what is the sleeper's vritti. So in all the three avasthas, the jiva does not know that he is turiyam or pure consciousness. Trishu api sthaneshu tattva pratibodha lakshanaha. In all the three states, there is self-ignorance, which is common. Therefore, all the three states are called as avidya krityaha. That is why in the waking state, you try to find answers to your questions of your experiences. You will always end up, I don't know. Even when you do a PhD, ultimately when you go and discover the particle or the some aspect of your study, ultimately after some time you ask yourself, you will say, I don't know if there is anything beyond this. Everything, right? Take your own body. Why does the heart pump the blood? Why? I don't know. Why does the mind get thoughts? I don't know. Why do I have emotions at a particular time? At a particular stage in my life, I get different types of emotions. Why? I don't know. Look at it, take a flower. How is the flower? Can you describe the flower? No, I don't know. So the end result is what? I don't know. Means what? Neither in the sleep state, neither in the dream state. Why do I get dreams? I don't know. Why did I get this dream? I don't know. So what is this? I don't know. It is self-ignorance. It is ignorance. So ignorance of all this put together is called as the mula avidya. That means it is the root cause of everything which I am experiencing. So the first interpretation is I exclude the waker dreamer and arrive at the sleeper. One who doesn't desire, one who doesn't dream is the sleeper. Then the next month, Bhashyam of Shankara says, the sleeping person does not see any dreams because the dreams are not there in that state, and also there is no desire. See, there is a lot of repetition of Shankaracharya so that it goes deep into our mind, these lessons. So the deep sleep state is not like the waking and the dream. There you experience subject object division. See, now this is a very, very beautiful analysis of Shankaracharya. Now, this is the birthplace of Dvaitam and Advaitam in Mandukya Upanishad. See, this particular mantra, this aspect, Shankaracharya will build again and again on this concept. What is it? Dvaitam, Advaitam. Dvaitam, Advaitam. He wants to teach Advaitam, but he has to explain to us how does this Dvaitam come about. In suṣupti, there is no Dvaita. It is only Advaita. Advaita means what? There is no subject-object division. In the waking state and in the dream state, one perceives mistakenly subject-object division in one vastu. Anyata grahanam. This is a technical word used by Gaudapadacharya in this Upanishad. Anyata grahana means I experience the world, but I don't experience the consciousness. Ignorance of consciousness projects the duality. So, the deep sleep state is the field of experience for what? For that one consciousness only, which is known as suṣuptaha. See how slowly Shankaracharya is building up the topic of suṣupti. He wants us to remember many points regarding sleep. But slowly he's taking us deeper and deeper into the subject. As we go across these mantras, you will find we are going very deep within ourselves. Yatra yasmin sthane kale, in which state that the experience of time is not there. In the state where kanchana swapna pashyati, that means there is no dream experience. Na kanchana kamam kamayate. These are the two words he is trying to explain from that mantra number 5. We are only trying to study these two words. Na kanchana swapna pashyati, na kanchan kamam pashyati, kamayate. That is the sushuptam bhavati. That is the definition of sushupti experience. The sushupti experience is unlike the waking and dream. Why is it unlike? Because in sushupti it is advaitam. In the waking and the dream, it is dvaitam. What is the meaning of dvaitam? The mind gets split into subject and object in both waking and dream. Unlike the Vyatireka Drishtante, unlike the waking and dream state, when there is no desire, when there is no split up of the mind into subject and object, that is what is called as the sleep state. What is the dream state? Anyata grahanam. That means I experience other things which are projected by this ignorance. Whether it is dream state or whether it is waking state, there is an ignorance of the self which projects the world of duality. I am Thuriyam beyond the three states. That is my ultimate Swarupam. Neither I am the waker, neither I am the sleeper, neither I am the dreamer. If I am not all the three, whatever is that, take that as consciousness, take that as the Turiya Avastha. Okay? So, which me is real? Is the waker I real, sleeper I real, or the Turiyam I is real? Turiyam I, which illumines the waker I, the dreamer I, and the sleeper I, is the reality. So, in the mantra number 5, the first half of the mantra talks about the deep sleep state. In the second half, it talks about the consciousness in the sleep state. First half is the definition. No desire, no waking. What is consciousness? That is what we are going to see now. Tadetat sushuptam. Sushuptam sthanam is bahuvrihi. This is for people who understand Sanskrit grammar. I will not spend too much time on that. Now, what happens to in the state of sushupti for a jnani? What happens? And for a ajnani, what happens? Now, with respect to Chaitanya, the three states for ajnanis to realize their karma phalas. That means, suppose you don't understand consciousness, turiyam, all that. For a jnani who doesn't know, he'll say, I went to sleep and I am experiencing my karma phalas. That means whatever I am supposed to experience, I means what? The ahamkara, the waker is experiencing karma phalas. For a jnani, what is it? How does he look at sleep? The three states is for me to realize my true nature as Chaitanya. See how the two people they look at the same sleep avastha is looked at from two different viewpoints. So you and I have to learn the second way. We have to say that I am going to study the suṣupti avastha so that I can understand who am I, which is not sleeping. There is a sakshi which never sleeps. That is my real state. That is called as turiya. Sushupti sthana, the third pada, for a jnani jiva is relaxation. For a jnani jiva, it is a seeming third pada, but it is for him to realize his real nature. In each pada, Atma is consciousness only. It is the one which is illumining the three states. In the waking state, it illumines the waking body and the waking world. In the dream state, it illumines the dream body and the dream world. In the sleep state, it illumines the sleep body, which is ignorance, which is mula vidya, and it rests in its own nature. So the jiva is called as a waker, dreamer, sleeper, and he himself is called as Chaitanyam or Turiyam after knowledge. When you drop the field of experiences and look at who you are without the field of experiences, that is what is called as the Turiya Avastha. For example, you and I, in front of our son, we are called as either father or mother. Similarly, we are called as sister or brother or wife or employee in front of different people. We all have got different designations. So the jiva also has a higher designation called as waker, dreamer, sleeper. But the jiva actually is what? Consciousness. So through the study of the three states, I have to own up that Turiya Avastha as my real pure consciousness state without the medium of the bodies. Upadhis should be dropped, but the content should be held. Consciousness illumines different objects in three different avasthas, but the consciousness remains the same. It never undergoes any change. So the entire group of duality, see now he is getting deeper into duality. What is duality? Subject, object. Now he will go a little bit more deeper. What Shankaracharya says now, this duality, how is it caused? It is caused, where is it caused? It is caused in the mind. How is it caused? When the mind is spinning, spandanam, then what happens? The waking happens, the dream happens. So there is my mind which is spinning. When the mind rotates, it spins, spandanam, it gives me an illusion of the waking world. It gives me an illusion of the dream world. See, this is more deeper. And when this spandanam is not there, it is one non-differentiated mass of consciousness. It is not vibhaktam, it is pravibhaktam. Vibhaktam is duality. Pravibhaktam means no duality. One mass of consciousness, that is what is called as suṣupti avastha. So the dualistic world of objects during the day or during the scene cannot be seen normally during the night because it is enveloped by darkness. Similarly, when our mind is enveloped by tamoguna, which is ignorance. We don't experience anything. We only experience eki bhutam. One mass of consciousness is experienced by all of us in sleep. The sleep experience for all of us is the same. What is the sleep experience? Eki bhuta. The entire duality merges into undifferentiated mass of consciousness. You can call it blankness. You can call it one mass of consciousness. You can call it as non-dual state. You can call it as resolved state of the waking on the dream. All these are all different names. You can call it mula vidya. You can say it is ignorance of my real nature. So experientially, the undifferentiated mass of consciousness, which is caused by ajnanam, which is caused by self-ignorance, is common to all of us. And this mass of consciousness gets differentiated in Jagrat and so. See, this is a technical way to study the three states of consciousness. Okay. Especially the last point, which I said, you have to contemplate. I will stop here with this slide. And this there is a description of, okay, I'll finish one more slide and then I'll stop. So in this, suppose you're standing in a balcony and you're watching the vehicles which are going down, the people who are walking down. This is how Shankaracharya describes Sakshi, the nature of Sakshi, the nature of Turiya. Because of ignorance or darkness, suddenly you will not be able to see people on the road. If it is a daylight, you can see, but it is during the night time, it becomes dark. Similarly, when there is ignorance in sleep state, what happens is there is an experience of eki bhutaha. All the vehicles and all that you will not see in the night time if there is no light at all. Suppose you see, he's just giving an example. Naisha tamaha is avidya. Tamoguna is avidya, is ignorance. So when there is ignorance, we experience eki bhutaha, one mass of consciousness. There is no dvaita experience in the sleep state. Whenever there is dvaitam, it is manas spandanam. In the fourth chapter of Mandukya Upanishad, Gaudaparacharya talks about this spandana. It is like the agarbatti which you rotate. Actually, there is no circle. If you rotate, it appears as if there is a circle. Similarly, when the mind, through all the vrittis, when the vrittis are moving in your mind, it gives you an illusion of a dream world or of a waking world. But what is really the content of that vritti is consciousness. In the waking state, I can't see, I can't differentiate the consciousness and the matter world. But in the sleep state, when I go through this experience and the reasoning behind it, then I'm able to accept this consciousness as the ultimate nature of mind. So when there is internal darkness, there is avidya, which covers like the darkness of the night. Experientially, what we experience in the sleep state is advaitam. Factually, outside, there is still remains dvaitam, but experience-wise, it is advaitam in the sleep state. It is eki bhutam. This dvaitam gets resolved finally when there is pralaya avastha. Okay? Or when you get the knowledge of turiya avastha. Okay, so next we will go into the topic number 53. Next week, I will not have a session because I'm traveling. And so on the 31st, there will not be a talk. And on the 31st of March, there will be no, next Sunday, there will be no class. The next class will be the week after that, which is the 7th of April. So please note, next week, there is no Saturday session or Sunday session. Only the following 6th and 7th March, we will have sessions. Revise this portion, what we have done today, in the next 14 days. And when you come back, you will be able to enjoy the next level of teaching of Shankaracharya. These are very, very in-depth analysis of our sleep state and what lies beyond the sleep state. See, the sleep state, Shankaracharya analyzes very much in detail so that we can understand the Thuriyam, which is going to come in the seventh, which is our real nature. Even today, if you have been following the talk, I'm sure all of you would have got a glimpse, a peep into our own real nature, which is Thuriyam. Don't forget the word Thuriyam because that is my real nature. That is the nature. If I come to understand my nature as pure consciousness, two things will be there. I will become immortal. Immortal means no death. Number two, I'll get fearlessness. I will not have any fear of anything in the world. If you want this, you have to continue this study of Mandukya Upanishad. Immortality and fearlessness. The two goals for all the spiritual seekers. I want to be immortal. Upanishad says you are already immortal. I will teach you how you are immortal. Wait for the seventh mantra. Okay? All right. Oh, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnahat, Purnamudachade, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I think there are no questions on the chat board. Okay. In case you have any questions, I can see Rama has raised his hand. Rama, can you go ahead? Let me know what you want. What's your question?
Namaste, sir. The question is, sir, I'm getting an echo. So generally, I know my thoughts in my mind. Okay. So, but actually, the soul, the treasure, the whole treasure of all vrittis is Karana Shriram, right? The causal body. So, I mean, only once it gets emptied or we get the knowledge, so we'll be liberated. But how do we go to the level of the causal body to know the deep vasanas?
Okay, good question. See, when you study Mandukya Upanishad, it will teach us two things. One is there is a state itself, which is a natural state where there is no thoughts, which is the sleep avastha. So in the sleep avastha, in the sleep state, it is a very natural thing. When their sense organs are closed, when the mind is passive, and you don't have any thoughts, but you are there. See, you are there. You now that you is there without thoughts. That is what Mandukya Upanishad is trying to reveal to you. Don't worry. You see, there are two schools of thought. One school of thought is the yogic school of thought, which says chitta vritti nirodha. That means you get rid of all your thoughts. One day you'll realize who you are when all the vasanas are gone. Vedanta does not look at that as a methodology to know yourself. Vedanta says just to follow the scriptural study. Just follow what Mandukya Upanishad is saying. In the suṣupti avastha, there is no thoughts, and you are very happy. All of us, we are extremely happy in the sleep state, and there are no thoughts, there are no objects. And what is that in which I am there without any thoughts, and still I can experience Ananda? That is this Turiya Avastha. So you have to go beyond the causal state. Mandukya Upanishad will teach you. In this fifth mantra and the sixth mantra, they are very important mantras to understand how to cross over your mind, body, causal state, vasanas, all that, how to cross over. Just try to wait, just go through this up to the seventh mantra. You will realize that there is no necessity for you to stop all your thoughts, get rid of all your vasanas, sanchita karma, all that. It is all at the junior student level. The moment you come to Mandukya Upanishad, the fifth, sixth, and seventh mantras, the Upanishad teaches you to falsify these anatma. It says all except Atma, you hold on to Atma, you falsify everything else. It is very difficult initially. How can I falsify my family, my possessions, my bank account, so much money I have? How can you just suddenly say just falsify it? No. You are falsifying it only to know your real nature. It is only an understanding in your mind. You can hold on to your money, you can hold on to your family, your possessions, your profession, your hamkara, mamakara, you can hold on for vyavahara purpose. But when you come to the teaching says, drop the dvaita anubhav. This is a very important step in understanding Vedanta. Here in this mantra, the fifth mantra, Shankaracharya introduces the concept of Dvaitam and Advaitam. Dvaitam means subject object. Advaitam means there is no subject object, which is our suṣupti avastha. In your own mind, try to bring back the sleep state and see, compare it with the dream state and the waking state, the sleep state. In your own mind, in the sleep state, what happens? I don't experience a second object. I don't experience the subject me and the object me, but I am the Turiyam in the sleep state. That Turiyam state is what you have to realize and say that that is my real state. That is my real state. Real state means what? That real state will never go away from me. And that state is Advaita state. It is immortal. It has got no birth. Nobody has taught me, but the Guru teaches me with the help of the scriptures. Guru teaches me to look into that. And by looking into that, what happens? My mind gets the ability, the power to drop the identification with this body as me. It will still identify with the body and do all the transactions in life. But it will learn how to say, who am I? I am the Turiya Avastha. Advaitam is my nature. Dvaitam is an appearing and disappearing nature. Let it come, let it go. Okay? Am I answered your question, Rama?
Yes, sir. Yeah, oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, I understand the point and try to practice the same thing. Yeah,
Correct.
whatever.
You have to learn to practice this. Now you have learned what is Dvaitam, what is Advaitam. Learn to keep telling yourself, I am Advaita Swarupaha. I am Advaita Swarupaha. For the transactional purposes, I can say I am a father, I am a son, I am a daughter, I am a wife, I am a husband. You can say for Vyavahara. But deep within yourself, you must learn to say, I am Advaita Atma. This is a pure knowledge only meant for me, not to share with anybody else. You don't have to say this to anybody else. This is knowledge given by the Guru to you with the help of Shastra. It is a very pure knowledge about yourself. So first of all, learn the Turiya Avastha properly. Once you have learned the Turiya Avastha, try to hold on to that Avastha as your pure nature. Body is incidental. Mind is incidental. Look at your waking state as an incidental nature. Make the best use of it. Do what you can in the waking state to the best of your ability. Because you're free now. You see, you're free from worry. You're free from insecurity. You're free from limitations. This freedom which you get from Vedantic study helps you to enjoy life without any obstacles in your understanding. Okay, good, Rama. I think it's just a process of learning. Good. I'm glad that you have understood the principle behind it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else has a question? Next week, there's no session. So our next Sunday session will be on the 7th of April. Okay. Shanta, your question?
Just before we go, I had one question, or rather, I want you to check whether what I'm trying to understand is right. You know, when this about this dream, sleep and waking, you mentioned about this spandanam of the mind, the spinning of the mind, which then brings the waking and the dream, which the Dvaitam sets in. And when nothing is there, then it's just homogeneous mass. Now, could we compare it to the day, night, and twilight, where the day could be waking, the twilight or the evening could be dream state, and night could be the sleep state?
Yeah, you
Is
can
it
do that.
something like that the mind
Yeah,
is also
yeah,
going through?
that's correct. Yes, yes, you're right. You can compare it to that. Uh, this is a very uh, scientific concept of Gaudapadacharya in Mandukya Upanishad, and this can be tested in yourself also, because you can see when does your mind come
Hmm.
and what is the nature of your mind, especially when you are experiencing emotions. You will accept the fact that it is a spandanam of the mind. It is a
Hmm.
spinning of the mind which gives you those emotions. Especially when you are disturbed by emotional disturbances, or suppose even when you are happy, it is a spandanam. It is a rotation of your mind which makes it uh, appear as if it is a real experience.
Mhm.
See, this is the most dramatic way in which Mandukya Upanishad brings out the unreality of the world. It is a manaspandanam which
Mhm.
is giving us an illusion as if the life is so real. Whether it is successes in life, whether it is failures in life, whether it is uh, passion towards something in life, whether it is kama, krodha, all these are all manaspandanam. It is a concept developed by Gaudapadacharya, very scientific. In the fourth chapter, 100 verses are there trying to explain this spandana. Anyway, when we come to that, we'll see that. But
Yeah.
it's a good
The other
point
thing is,
you have brought about. Yeah, Shanta.
the other thing which I wanted to say is, it's like when you just like the earth rotates, your mind is rotating, right? And you have all these avastas. But do they follow this 48 minute? I mean, is there a link between that 48 minutes, which we talk about in say yoga or whatever, where everything changes every 40th minute, or 40th minute things start changing, and
Yeah,
48th
one
minute it
murta.
switches. Yeah.
Yeah,
So is it connected to that? Is there any
yes, it
connection?
is. Yes, there is some connection because this is how the three gunas they act. The rajoguna, sattva-guna, tamo-guna, there is a movement of these three gunas,
Mm,
which is happening continuously in the world, and
mm,
this is what is called as Maya. You see, your eyes will not be able to understand this Maya. This spandanam, eyes, your mind, your
mm,
eyes, your no, you cannot know this except through the Shastra. So there is some explanation to this, mainly in the field of the three gunas.
okay. Okay, so the switching, I mean, because I was thinking, as we wake up, there is that there is a cycle, for us to wake up, for us to sleep in. How much ever you do, it it sort of it follows a pattern of its own based on
Based
our
on your
day, or
own, yes, that's correct. Yes,
So I was just trying to connect whether there was a relation between the 48 minutes murat and the spinning of the mind, and
yes.
therefore the three avastas. And would that be a light of looking at all these things
Yeah,
together?
you can study in that line, but
Hmm.
there is no Upanishad which talks about your this 48 minutes cycle. I've not come across any Upanishad which talks about it in this fashion.
Hmm.
All it says is there is manaspandanam going on. That manaspandanam is what is Rajoguna, according to the Guna theory.
Hmm.
14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Spandanam is happening all the time. Whenever there is Spandanam, you see the waking world. Whenever
Hmm.
the Spandanam stops, it is the sleep world. Now,
Hmm.
there is a controller of this. That controller of this is called as Ishvara. In the sixth
Yeah.
mantra, in the sixth mantra, that Ishvara is very beautifully defined. In the fifth mantra, it only talks about our experiences as an individual. But in the sixth mantra of the Mandukya, it immediately goes at the samashti level. The
Hmm.
same sleep state at the samashti level, it is Ishvara. And it is Ishvara, whatever you may call it, ultimately Mandukya in the later chapters, it clearly says Ishvara cannot be with form.
Hmm.
Forms are used only for upasana and worship.
Hmm.
But Ishvara is formless. That formless is what is experienced by us in the sleep state.
Yeah.
There
So
is a
no,
law.
yeah, there is a law, as you said, and there is something which is controlled, because you can see the trigger when you wake up, or when you're waking up, you can see the body actually triggers that feeling in your body, whether
Yes,
it is in the form of heat, or that it's almost like resetting your body, like a reset button is pressed. And
correct,
then
correct. No, that's right. Yeah, see, these are all the personal experiences which
mm,
prove the whatever you're learning in the Upanishads, you
mm,
can you can experience it yourself in your personal life.
mm,
See, that is what is the beauty of Mandukya Upanishad. See, this doesn't happen in Kathopanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, or so many other Upanishad. This aspect is not there. That you can
oh,
test it yourself
Mm.
and experiment it with that. That is why I call the study of Mandukya Upanishad as a scientific. Be a scientist for 2 years. Just understand what the Upanishad says. See what is it, what you are experiencing.
Mm.
What is the Upanishad saying about the in the fifth mantra about the sleep state? You go back and understand your own sleep state. Is there Advaitam or is there Dvaitam? There is Advaitam.
Mm.
All of us will say this.
Yeah, that is
And then
quite
it
beautiful
says,
because at the sleep state, you don't have
you
desires, you
don't have
don't have any
anything.
karmas. So you are,
That's right. There
you
is
know,
nothing. It is Advaita Swarupaha. It is why it is
mm,
called as Swarupaha.
mm,
See, just wait for the sixth mantra to finish and the seventh mantra to finish. You'll get a complete picture of Mandukya. Complete. After that is only upasana of Omkara, how to resolve, how to do meditation and all that. But the Upanishad finishes in the seventh mantra.
mm,
You know,
yeah.
full picture. Three states, what is being experienced by us, follow those experiences, and whatever the Upanishad says you are, you try to understand that nature and say, I am that. That's all. It is a very straightforward method of understanding your Swarupa.
Mm,
Always remember, I am not the waker, I am not the dreamer, I am not the sleeper, I. They are there. There is no doubt that those experiences are there. But in your mind, you should say, I am not those. Who am I? I am something which is illumining these three states. I am the consciousness which is eternal. It is eternal means it is immortal. And body goes through, body will die, doesn't matter. But the moment I shift my attention to this Turiya Avastha, you will see a lot of transformation happening in you
mm,
because your mind will learn how to stop the world and how the world starts. Manifest, unmanifest. Automatically in your mind, you will have the switch on and off. I can switch on the world whenever I want it. I can switch off the world whenever I want. That ability you will get the moment you stand on Turiya. It's an amazing thing. I mean, this
yeah, it's because I do keep experimenting myself on this. So that's why as I said, that you can see that it is a very beautiful experience as when you mentioned about this uh, the sleep state and the is your starting state. And that is
yes,
so true. That is your initial state because you can
correct.
see that movement from sleep to waking when you are actually aware of that moment of your mind waking. When you do, you can actually make out or realize, and that's why I felt that so much true. What you feel is what the Mandukya Upanishad says. Yeah,
Good.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Deepak, you agree with what Shanta says? I can't hear you.
It's on mute, I think.
Yeah, you're muted.
Yes,
You're mute.
absolutely right. I think I just feel that when you're, I understand what she was saying in terms of the 14-minute cycle, and there is the fivefold energy of Shiva: creation,
Yes.
dissolution, maintenance. All that, and between between one thought, the other thought, there is that Turiya, or there is that
There is,
consciousness.
yeah.
But I think from the point of Mandukyam is very clear, because what you've said is very clear. This is the I, the consciousness that illumines all the three states, or mind and body, and this world of name and form are appearances in my consciousness, in which the moment I get up, the waker and the dream world duetam takes place. When I get into the svapna state, the dream and the mind becomes the dvaitam, the mind consciousness and the dream, the projected world becomes the conscious, becomes the seer and the seen, or the subject object. And then it moves into the sleep state where there is, the sense objects are not there. The mind is, it's collapsed into the state of absolute ananda turyam. And then rightfully, as I think what you have alluded to, that when you get up, it again starts illuminating. It's like a projection. The movie starts taking place. The movie starts coming up.
Yes.
So this is the cycle, but in all the three states, it's the consciousness that is illuminating this. So it's so beautiful. The moment you realize this, you sort of recognize that this waking state itself, this Dvaitam that I talk, is the dream, is also a dream.
Exactly.
As the dream world is.
Yes.
So, I think the question therefore is that how, as a witness, I'm sort of constantly. So, what is enlightenment? I've always asked this question.
Correct.
It is awareness of these three states.
That's correct. Yes.
Being awareness of this three states. I call it consciously aware. I'm now consciously being aware. And in that state, I am responding. I don't react. I have a certain way of managing my life.
Yes.
Over a period of time, is going much more deep ingrained into my. So I am that I am. That's also another way to say.
Good. Very good. Very well put, Deepak. So you have got such a lot of clarity now. I'm so amazed at your clarity.
Thank you. Thank you. So all because of you, Shekharji.
No. This is amazing because I know you were struggling 3-4 years ago.
Yes,
in
very much.
Mandukya, and
Mandukya.
I'm very happy you're doing the Bashyam, Shankara-Bashyam, because this is the final for Mandukya. If you understand Mandukya, immediately when you come to the 7th mantra itself, you'll say, I have realized who I am. That is the beauty of this position. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, we will stop here. And then next week, no session. The following week on the 7th, we'll start the Mandukya. On the 6th, there will be Taittiriya. Okay. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Namaste.
very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Ekajina.
trip as well. Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.